Whenever you want to emphasize the idea that you don't like something at all, you dislike something, the first phrase crossing your mind, flashing through your mind is, I hate something. I hate this, I hate that, I hate doing this, I hate doing that. But are there any other alternatives to I hate something, I hate doing something? In English, you can say, to emphasize the idea that you're not a fan of something at all, you don't like doing something at all, you dislike something, or you hate something? The answer is yes. And that is exactly what I'm going to be focusing your attention on in today's video. We're going to be working on all the alternatives to I hate something that you can use in order to avoid repeating the word hate. Let's get started, but before we do so, make sure you like this video in support of this channel. Thank you for doing so. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and leave a comment down below by telling me from which country you're watching these videos and how these videos are helping you improve your English. Now let's get started. The first alternative to I hate something is I detest something. I detest something. I detest something. The word detest. Detest. I detest something. I detest something. So you can say I detest something in order to emphasize the idea that you hate something, with the purpose of saying that, you have a strong dislike for something, or you have a significant amount of hatred for something. So to emphasize that you hate something, you can say I detest something. Two examples of this word. The first example, I detest people who break promises. 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 I detest people who break promises, which means I hate people who break promises. I have a strong dislike for those who break promises. I have, there is an abundance of hatred, for those who break promises. I'm not into those who break promises at all. I'm not a big fan of those who break promises at all, but rather, I hate them. I detest them. Now we move on to the next example. He detests reality TV shows because he finds them pointless. He detests reality TV shows because he finds them pointless. He detests reality TV shows because he finds them pointless. He detests reality TV shows because he finds them pointless. He detests reality TV shows because he finds them pointless. He detests reality TV shows because he finds them pointless, which means he hates, he, dislikes reality TV shows because he finds them pointless. In his opinion, they're pointless, they're useless. He has a low opinion of them because he finds them pointless or useless, not worth watching them. So he detests reality TV shows because he finds them pointless. Is there anything in your life that you detest, guys? Why do you detest it? Or is there anyone that you detest? Why do you detest them? And what can you do in order not to detest them anymore? Is there any way to take a liking to them? I mean, is there a way to start to like them or to take a liking to them? Why are these people or things the ones you detest? Comment the answers down below in the comment section. Speaking of myself, giving you an example of my personal life, I detest those who do not redeem their promises. I mean, those who make a promise and say that they will do this and that and promise that they will do this and that, but at the end of the day, when it comes to the point, they don't redeem their promises. They do not fulfill their promises. They do not do what they have promised that they will do. I detest them. I abhor these people, and I never spend time with them. I never waste my time with these types of people because they're the ones that abuse my trust and betray me, stab me in the back by not doing what they have promised that they would do. So there's no point in spending time with them. Anyway, now we move on to the third way of emphasizing the idea that you hate something, you dislike something, you don't like something at all, which is by using the word abhor. I abhor something. I abhor something. I abhor something. I abhor something. The word abhor, abhor. We can use the word abhor to emphasize the idea that you hate something. You have hatred for something. You cannot stand something at all. You have a strong dislike for something. So to abhor something, to abhor something. Have you ever heard this word before, abhor? I don't think you have, but it's actually a very emphatic way of, saying that you hate something. I abhor this, I abhor that. When someone tells you they abhor something, don't ask them about what they're telling you that they abhor anymore, because they hate that thing so much that they don't even want to talk about it. Anyway, let me give you two examples of this word. The example number one, I abhor discrimination in any form. 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 I abhor discrimination in any form, which means I hate discrimination in any form. I have a strong dislike for discrimination in any form. I disapprove of discrimination in any way, shape, or form. I'm not a fan of discrimination in any way, shape, or form. I'm not into discrimination in any way, shape, or form. Do not think I'm the one who supports the idea of discrimination in any way, shape, or form. I abhor it. I hate it. I detest it. I detest, hate, and abhor discrimination in any way, shape, or form. The second example, she abhors the idea of using animals for testing. She abhors the idea of using animals for testing. She abhors the idea of using animals for testing. She abhors the idea of using animals for testing. She abhors the idea of using animals for testing. She abhors the idea of using animals for testing, which means she hates the idea of using animals for testing. She detests, she is not a fan of using animals for tasting. I know a lot of scientists, and a lot of organizations and companies, especially research-based organizations and companies, exploiting animals, taking advantage of animals. Abusing animals for testing purposes. And that's not something that I'm a big fan of. That's not something that I'm really into. I abhor the idea of using animals for testing purposes. I detest it. Anyway, let me ask you a personal question. Is there anything that you abhor in your life? Is there any practice, any act that you seriously abhor in your life? What is it? Why do you abhor it? And what do you exactly do? How do you react to people doing it? How do you react to hearing or seeing, people doing it? What do you exactly do? And is there anything that you can do in order not to abhor it anymore? Comment the answers down below in the comment section. Now we move on to the next way of emphasizing the idea that you hate something, which is by using the phrase, I can't stand something. 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 When you say, I can't stand something, what you're trying to emphasize is the idea that you are not able to tolerate something. You don't like something at all. You dislike something a lot. You are not into something at all. Something is not your cup of tea at all. Something is not your kind of thing at all. Or, you seriously hate and abhor something, or you detest something. So that's, how you can say, or how you can emphasize that you hate something. I can't stand something. I can't stand something, which means I hate doing something. Let me give you two examples of this phrase. I can't stand traffic jams during rush hour. I can't stand traffic jams during rush hour, which means I hate, abhor, detest traffic jams during rush hour. Because they're annoying. They get on the wrong side of me. Traffic jams get on the wrong side of me. Get on my nerves, rub me up the wrong way, and get under my skin, get right up my nose, and make me abhor them. Why? Because they're disgusting, they're annoying, they're not pleasant. It's really unpleasant to get stuck in traffic for long hours, right? The next example. He can't stand the idea of people chewing loudly. He can't stand the idea of people chewing loudly. He can't stand the idea of people chewing loudly. He can't stand the idea of people chewing loudly. Do you know the meaning of chewing something? Here is what happens when you chew something. So to chew something means to try to eat something in your mouth. I mean, to eat something. For example, chewing gum. When you chew gum, you put a gum into your mouth and you start chewing it. You start pressing the gum with your teeth. So that's what you do when you chew. So she can't stand the idea of people chewing loudly, which means she abhors, she detests the idea of people chewing things loudly or chewing loudly. Now we're getting to the fifth phrase that we can use instead of saying I hate something, which is by saying I can't bear something. 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 Well, when you say you can't bear something, it has the exact same meaning as you can't stand something. So you can either say I can't stand something or I can bear something. Actually, I can bear is a bit more formal than I can't stand. So I can't stand something or I can bear something. When you say you can bear something, it means you can't stand something, you hate something, you abhor, detest, or loathe something. Or you have a strong dislike for something, or there is a significant amount of hatred in you for something. You seriously oppose something. You can't tolerate something. Something is so annoying and disgusting that you can't tolerate it. Can't bear it. Let me give you two examples of this phrase. I can't bear seeing children in pain. 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 I can't bear seeing children in pain, which means I can't stand seeing children in pain. I hate, abhor, detest the idea of seeing children in pain. The second example. I can't bear the thought of moving to a new city. I can't bear the thought of moving to a new city. I can't bear the thought of moving to a new city. I can't bear the thought of moving to a new city. I can't bear the thought of moving to a new city. I can't bear the thought of moving to a new city, which means I hate, abhor, detest the idea of moving to a new city. I abhor moving to a new city. I have a strong dislike for moving to a new city. There is a significant amount of hatred in me for moving to a new city. I oppose moving to a new city. Is there anything that you can bear doing, guys, that you can't even bear the thought of? Or is there anyone that you can bear spending time with? Comment the answers down below in the comment section to find out more about what you can bear doing, what you can't stand doing. Now let's move on to the next emphatic way of saying that you hate something without having to use the word hate, which is by saying, I'm disgusted by something. I'm disgusted by something. I'm disgusted by something. I'm disgusted by something. Disgusted by something. Disgusted by something. When you say I'm disgusted by something, it means you hate something, you abhor something, you detest something, you are not a fan of something at all, but rather you can't stand something, you can't bear something. So I'm disgusted by something. Something is so annoying, unpleasant, and it's so disgusting that makes me want to hate it, makes me want to abhor, detest it. So I am disgusted by something. Two examples of this phrase. I'm disgusted by the amount of pollution in the river. I'm disgusted by the amount of pollution in the river. I'm disgusted by the amount of pollution in the river. I'm disgusted by the amount of pollution in the river. I'm disgusted by the amount of pollution in the river. I'm disgusted by the amount of pollution in the river, which means I hate the amount of pollution in the river. I detest the amount of pollution in the river. I can't stand the amount of, or I can't bear the amount of pollution in the river. Or I have a strong dislike for the amount of pollution in the river. The second example. He's disgusted by how some people treat the elderly. He's disgusted by how some people treat the elderly. He's disgusted by how some people treat the elderly. He's disgusted by how some people treat the elderly. He's disgusted by how some people treat the elderly, which means He abhors, detests, and hates how some people treat the elderly. He can't bear, the way, he can't stand the way some people behave towards the elderly or treat the elderly. What about you? Is there anything that you're disgusted by? What is it that you're disgusted by? And why do you think it puts you in a situation in which you're disgusted by it? What does it exactly do that you abhor, detest, loathe, and can't stand or can't bear that you believe you're disgusted by it? Comment the answers down below in the comment section to practice these phrases at the same time as learning them. Now we move on to the next emphatic way of saying you hate something, which is by using the phrase, I feel repelled by something. 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 When you say I feel repelled by something, it means you hate something, abhor something, detest something, you can't stand something, can't bear something, you are not a fan of something at all, you're not into something at all, something is not your cup of tea at all, something is not your kind of thing at all, but rather is exactly what you hate most, what you detest and abhor most. So you can say, I'm repelled by something. I'm disgusted by something. Two examples of this phrase. I'm repelled by what they say about me behind my back. I'm repelled by what they say about me behind my back. I'm repelled by what they say about me behind my back. I'm repelled by what they say about me behind my back. I'm repelled by what they say about me behind my back. I'm repelled by what they say about me behind my back. I'm repelled by what they say about me behind my back, which means I'm disgusted by what they say about me behind my back. I abhor, detest, and loathe what they say about me behind my back. What they say about me behind my back is disgusting, is filthy, is dirty, is unpleasant, and that's what I'm disgusted by. That's what I'm repelled by. That's what I hate, abhor, and detest. The second example, she feels repelled by the idea of eating insects. She feels repelled by the idea of eating insects. She feels repelled by the idea of eating insects. She feels repelled by the idea of eating insects. She feels repelled by the idea of eating insects. She feels repelled by the idea of eating insects, which means she abhors, detests, the idea of eating insects. She is disgusted by the idea of eating insects. She can't even bear the thought or stand the thought of eating insects. She is not a big fan of eating insects at all, but rather she's disgusted by it. She's repelled by it. And now we're moving on to the next way of emphasizing the idea that you hate something, you detest or abhor something, which is by using the word resent. Resent, resent, resent. The verb resent, resent. When you resent something, you abhor, detest, or loathe something. You can't stand or can't bear something. You're repelled or disgusted by something. You have a strong dislike for something. You seriously oppose something. You stand against something, or there's a lot of hatred in you for something, or you antagonize something, right? So we can say you resent something. Two examples of this verb. I resent being blamed for mistakes I didn't make. I resent being blamed for mistakes I didn't make. I resent being blamed for mistakes I didn't make. I resent being blamed for mistakes I didn't make. I resent being blamed for mistakes I didn't make. I resent being blamed for mistakes I didn't make, which means I hate, detest, and, hate being blamed for mistakes I didn't make. Or I can't stand, or, I can bear the idea of being blamed for mistakes I didn't make. I feel repelled or disgusted by the idea of being blamed for, mistakes I didn't make, or for being pointed the finger of, blame at for mistakes I didn't make. What about you? Is there anything that you resent? Is there anything that you feel disgusted and repelled by? What is it? Comment it down below in the comment section. He resents how little recognition his hard work receives. He resents how little recognition his hard work receives. He resents how little recognition his hard work receives. He resents how little recognition his hard work receives. He resents how little recognition his hard work receives, which means he abhors, detests, and hates how little recognition his hard work receives, or he can't bear or he can't stand the idea of how little recognition his hard work receives. He's disgusted or repelled by how little recognition his hard work receives. Is there anything that you resent, guys? What is it? Or is there anything that makes you resented? What is it? Comment the answers down below in the comment section. Now we get to the 9th way of emphasizing the idea that you hate something, which is by using the phrase, I'm turned off by something. 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 When you say that you're turned off by something, what you mean is that you hate something, you abhor something, you detest something, you can't stand or bear the idea of something, you're disgusted and repelled by something. In other words, when you say I'm turned off by something, it means something is so frustrating, annoying, and disappointing that you don't like it, you hate it, you abhor it. Or something is such a turn off to you, something is what makes you feel disappointed and frustrated because it's so annoying and unpleasant. So I'm turned off by something. 2 examples of this phrase. I'm turned off by what they say about me. I'm turned off by what they say about me. I'm turned off by what they say about me. I'm turned off by what they say about me. I'm turned off by what they say about me, which means I am disgusted and repelled by what they say about me. I abhor, detest, loathe, and hate what they say about me. The next example. She's turned off by people who lack manners. 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 She's turned off by people who lack manners, which means she is repelled and disgusted by those who lack manners. She can't stand, she can't, bear the idea of spending time with those who don't have manners, who lack manners. Or she detests, she, abhors those who lack manners. What is the meaning of lacking manners? When you lack manners, you are not polite, you are rude. You don't have manners. You don't have a good behavior. You are rude, you're annoying, and you don't know how to behave well in social settings and situations. And now we're moving on to the 10th emphatic way of saying that you abhor something, you hate something, you can't stand something, which is by using the phrase, I have a strong aversion to something. 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 By saying that you have a strong aversion to something, you're trying to emphasize the idea that you have a strong dislike for something, or you abhor, you hate something, or you're against something, or you're not willing towards something at all. So I have a strong aversion to something. 2 examples of this phrase. I have a strong aversion to public speaking. 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 I have a strong aversion to public speaking, which means I detest, I abhor speaking in public, speaking in front of a lot of people, speaking in front of thousands of people and thousands of eyes, thousands of people and, let's say, 4,000 people and 8,000 eyes, because each individual has 2 eyes. So 4,000 people means 8,000 eyes and ears. I can't bear the thought, or I can't stand the thought of speaking in front of 4,000 people, 8,000 eyes and ears. That was just an example. So I have a strong aversion to public speaking. I'm disgusted and repelled by speaking in public in front of a lot of people. And the next example, she has a strong aversion to spicy food. She has a strong aversion to spicy food. She has a strong aversion to spicy food. She has a strong aversion to spicy food, which means she hates, abhors, detests spicy food. She is repelled and disgusted by spicy food. She's turned off by spicy food. She can't stand, or she can't bear the idea of eating spicy food. And that's about it, guys. In today's video, you learned 10 English phrases and words that you can use to emphasize how much you hate something, to emphasize the idea that you have a strong amount of hatred for something. Let's review all these phrases once again together. I detest something. I detest something. I detest something. I abhor something. I abhor something. I abhor something. I can't stand something. I can't stand something. I can't stand something. I can't bear something. I can't bear something. I can't bear something. I'm disgusted by something. I'm disgusted by something. I'm disgusted by something. I feel repelled by something. I feel repelled by something. I feel repelled by something. I resent something. Resent something. I resent something. I resent something. I'm turned off by something. I'm turned off by something. I'm turned off by something. I have a strong aversion to something. I have a strong aversion to something. I have a strong aversion to something. And that's about all. Thank you for watching the video up to this point. Make sure you support your favorite YouTube English teacher by liking this video, and thank you for doing so. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and leave a comment down below by telling me how old you are, from which country you're watching these videos, and which of these videos that I'm uploading each and every single day you like most. Comment the answers down below in the comment section. I'll be back soon. I'll be back tomorrow.